Hello and welcome back to the channel. So I am just here on the second farm waiting for Dad. So he's spraying the last field, so he's all the fields sprayed now. So I said I better get some footage before it's done. So he has sprayed the triticale and all the barley bar the field that we were doing the test run because that has clover in it. What are you doing back there? Lexi's in the bush coming along for the trip. So he's just heading over there now and then I will follow him over. So as for the spray that we're using, so this year we didn't actually have to go out and buy much spray. So the lad in the co-op, so he came around and he went through all of our fields that we're going to be spraying, and then using leftover sprays, we had a few bottles here, and then also the sprays that were left over on the second farm by the previous owners. So he went through the fields and then he went through all the sprays that we had and basically came up with ways of using that up for this year. Wasn't too bad, so we didn't need too much, and it also stopped us from buying more sprays. So that's why we're only using the back tank on the H340. We don't have a front tank because each field has individually different mixes, so we can't just do one big tank and fill it all up and go around to the different fields. It has to be a different mix for each field. So we've done it that way this year to reduce costs on sprays and yeah, just to use up what we had and to avoid having to buy more. So that's the spraying done. So we did all the fields bar the tester fields with clover. So I said I would talk to you a little bit about Roundup because there's been some changes to Roundup over here. So the first change is, well, they're changing the rules to Roundup because they're trying to make it harder for people to use in order for them to use less of it, which makes sense. Roundup is very, very good and very effective, but it is a chemical that, you know, it's not very good for the environment, so they don't want to be using too much. So in order to reduce the use, they've come in with rules like, so once you sprayed, if you sprayed Roundup, you can't plough the ground. You can only direct drill after spraying it. So that's one thing that they put in place. Another thing is that it is twice the price. Whether that's done on purpose or whether it's just a price increase, I don't know. But another big thing that they've done to incite people to not use it anymore is you get, what's it called? So if you can prove that throughout the year you haven't used Roundup, so you don't have any invoices for Roundup or anything, you get, I think it's 2,500 credit, tax credit per person. So say in a company, if there's 2 or 3 people, each person gets a tax credit of 2,500. Now that's not 2,500 to the bank. That obviously means that you have 2,500 that you're not taxed on, tax free, whatever you call it. So it's a way of, I suppose, rewarding people who don't use Roundup and then making it harder for people who do want to use it. And then on sprays in general, so you have to do, so to be able to use and buy sprays on a farm, you have to have this course done. I have it here. Oh god, it's probably backwards again. It's the certificado. It's just a certificate to say that you've done a course to be able to use sprays. So the certificate has to be renewed every 10 years. So you do the course and then you have that cert, this cert here, whatever it is. You have that for 10 years and then you have to do it again to stay up to date with anything that's new with sprays. And before, if someone on the farm had that course or that whatever certificate, then anyone on the farm basically was allowed to go and buy sprays, could go to the co-op and buy the sprays and use them or make the mix. Now, well, I don't know about using, but for buying anyways, it's only the person who has the certificate can go and sign the paperwork to buy, whether it's sprays or fertilizer for that matter, so that comes into play. So again, making it harder for people to also buy it, another way for them to get rid of it. Now on other rules, And then other rules that are probably similar in other places in Europe anyways, maybe not around the rest of the world, but when it comes to waterways, so any rivers or water streams, we've already said how strict they are over here, but you can't go with any sprays or fertiliser within 5 metres of any springs or rivers. Now I think that could be the same in Ireland and England. It probably is very similar a lot of the places. So I'm just trying to tell you how it is in France. I can't really always compare it because I don't know what way it is in Ireland now. But yeah, keep you updated on what's going on here. So the sprayer has to go through an inspection I think it's every 5 years. They're actually very good. They're very thorough in their inspection. Someone will come out, he'll have all his own equipment, and he will test the individual booms to make sure that they're the same pressure, and he will actually go and pressure test each single nozzle that's on it. And if anything's not working, so they generally have a lot of the parts for most of the brands of sprayers themselves, they'll actually change it there and then and make sure it's up to scratch when they're leaving to avoid them coming out a second time basically. So we find that very, very good over here. Yes, it's every 5 years the sprayer has to be done, and then it's every 10 years that you have to go and do that course. And then with sprays, they do have to be kept under lock and key, so that is a big thing. If you get a farm inspection or something like that, all the sprays have to be kept under lock and key for safety reasons, which makes sense.
So up here in the wheat, looking pretty good. Putting on the last of the fertiliser now tomorrow. So what I'm actually spraying here today is along here by the ditch. Now up there is all this kind of grows out into the cordon, so I'm going to spray just along here so them brambles or briars, we call them in Ireland, don't grow out. Now I have a little cutting bar on the side of the combine, but it's just more hassle putting it on. It's mainly for the oilseed rape. And we're actually spreading as well underneath the electric fences. So some of you might have seen this last year. It's just an old yoke I made up out of an old bit of a sprayer that was there. There are just 2 nozzles. That one is face down a bit. Now that's only tied with wire because that does often get the brunt. So if that hits it, this is only on a swivel here. And I have a filter as well here, so it doesn't clog up the 2 nozzles. Now you could work with 1 nozzle in some cases, but better to have 2. And it was just an old Hardy that was on the farm when we came, a 600 litre. To sell them, they're worth nothing now. So it's dead handy for this job. Now on most of the fields that we do is we'd only use about maybe 10 litres of Roundup. Now I know it's very expensive, but if I was to do it myself or pay someone to keep back the ditches and all the fences, it cost about 3,000. So then this is the lance here that you switch over if you're in around the corner or anything like that, and there's a bit I put that there on it to hold it, the frame. So she's just set up for that. I have it on the TL now because I'm going over to the other farm and I need it. Broke the back window and adjusted it, first time ever. But she's going in now Monday for a big service, and she's leaking oil here. Have to do the oil seal on that. Now I do adjust the burdens every year on these. At with a loader, most of the tractors, I do adjust the wheel burdens. It's no use just changing the oil and bits and pieces like that. It's mainly all the axles and that you want to look after. Now that tractor does a lot of going, maybe not that heavy, but does a lot. She'll want tyres before next winter, and that's it. So I'll show you doing a bit of spraying here, and then we'll move over to the other farm. But I find that now I find that a dream. Now, as well as that, if you have a hill or anything over there, this will adjust out. You can undo it here and you can adjust it way out, so you don't have to be putting the tractor on a fall. So the idea of this is, this flap is, you don't want the spray blowing out too far on the crops or the grass either. So sometimes when you're going along a ditch and there's an opening, there might be a gust of breeze, and often when you go back about 2 weeks after, you'd see what happened, because there'd be big brown patches in the field. So this stops all that, so you have a kind of an even flow, an even straight line, where the spray hits off this and just drops down. I was thinking of putting one here as well, but never got around to it. But I have a weight on the bottom of it. Sometimes it could be heavier, and that's it. So no, it's just a simple old thing, but it saves an awful lot of time. Like, takes me about a day to do all the fields non-stop, and that's it then for the year, and especially with the crops. Okay.
So that's that for this week's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.